Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Ladies and gentlemen, I thought I was dreaming when I read this. You're not going to believe how much some families in Canada, or most families in Canada, putting it in a better way, are paying for food now and how much more they're going to pay next year. Now, if we have any Canadians, which I know that we do in our community, please confirm this with me. Please send me an email at Alaska Intel. You'll see the email address for my Intel down below in the description of the video, and confirm this with me, and maybe just give me an idea of how much you all are spending and how many people there are in your family. Because this, when I saw this, it's incredible. And when you find out what the percentage of their annual income is that they're spending in food, oh my goodness, before taxes, food prices are set to soar in 2023, new study finds. And I believe here that they are talking about Canada in particular. However, I'm going to shift over to the United States after we go over this. This just made me gasp when I first read this. And let me show you real quick. I'm going to read this for you because I like reading it, ladies and gentlemen. That way a lot of the things won't get lost in translation. Right? That's why I like reading. It's just like that telephone game where you start out with one word or one sentence, and by the 50th person or the 20th person is completely different than what it started as. Canadians are hoping for price relief at the grocery store, may not find it next year. So I got to this part and I was like, well, that's not terrible compared to what we've gone through this year. But I kept reading and it gets a lot worse. A new study estimates that Canadian family of 4 will spend about $1,065 more on groceries in 2023, which is set to an increase of about 7%. So I'm like, 7%, that's not bad. Now, I didn't take the time to do the math and say, well, how many times does 7 go into 100? Oh my goodness. 7 goes into 100 almost, 16 times or 15 times. Yes, 7 goes into 100 almost 15 times. So they're paying 15 times more than $1,065, which is the increase for next year on this year, in order for that to be. Incredible, ladies and gentlemen. Just check this out and wait until we get to the average salary of the average Canadian. The Canada Food Price Report released on Monday predicts that food prices will increase between 5 and 7% in 2023. That seems like a respite from what we've been experiencing this year. In 2023, it is expected that Canadians will continue to feel the effect of high food inflation, and food insecurity and affordability will also be a big issue with rising food prices, the report said. What have we been talking about for years, literally for years? That people are going to get priced out of the food market. That there is going to be a food shortage, whereas there is food on the shelf. There's going to be plenty of food on the shelf, but the reason being is because people will not be able to afford it. Let me address this really quick, because I think that some people maybe had a little bit of a problem understanding this from yesterday's video. So let's say that the price of things start going down. Let's say that we do enter into a Great Depression and the price of things really drop because it's a deflationary depression, just like happened during the Great Depression back in 1929, 1933, etc. Right? So let's say that the price of things go down a lot because it's a deflationary depression, meaning that there's not a lot of money in the system. It doesn't mean that people are going to be able to afford that food anymore. If you go back to the Great Depression era and you do a little bit of reading, during that time, the price of food was lower, but people had no money to buy it because they had no jobs. Same thing that's going to happen this time around. Also, if you go back during that time, you'll note that a lot of farmers were dumping all their milk because people had no money to buy the milk. So the farmers were actually dumping the milk, even though prices were very low. That's what's going to happen. There's going to be plenty of food, but the reason is because people will not be able to afford it. And a farmer or a rancher or anyone that's in the food production business, they do not work for free, ladies and gentlemen. Canadians still need to be prepared to spend more in this coming year. The report said that climate change and higher transport and energy costs are the key factors that will drive the price increase in 2023. Of course it's climate change, ladies and gentlemen. It's not because it's a man-made fuel shortage. It's not because it's a man-made fertilizer shortage. Yes, we do have a climate that's changing, and it changes every single day. It changes every single year, every decade, every century, every millennia. It changes all the time. However, knowing that the climate is changing for the worse this time around and this part of the cycle, what do governments do? They do things that are going to hinder the production of food further than what the climate is already hindering it. If government just stayed the heck out of the way, we would be all right. We would be all right with fuel. We would be all right with crops. Yes, there would be less crops, but we would have enough. Case in point, look at the Netherlands. One of the best food producing nations in the world. One of the biggest exporter of food in the world per capita. And what are they doing over there? What's the government doing over there, ladies and gentlemen? They're telling them to stop farming, even though they know that we're going into a food crisis and that there will be famine throughout the world. Now, this is the part that made my jaw drop. For a family of 4, including a man aged 31 to 50, a woman of the same age, a boy aged 14 to 18, and a girl aged 9 to 13, which is like your average family out there, right? A mom and dad and 2 children. The increase means that they will be spending approximately, listen to this, $16,288 on food in 2023, an increase of $1,065 compared to 2022. Which means that right now they're spending over $15,000 just on food. And trust me, I don't live in Canada, but I'm pretty sure that they're not buying ribeye and lobster for every meal. The 2023 food price forecast marks a slight decline in growth from the 10% surge experienced in 2022. That's all good when you look at it. Oh, it's only a small incline in growth, but they're already paying $15,000 a year, 1/4 of the average pay for Canadians. And we're going to get to that here in a minute. What would you do if you had to spend 25% of your income before taxes just on food to sustain life? Not on fuel, not on expenses to get back and forth to work, not on your mortgage, not on heat, just on food before taxes. Food prices soared last year, increasing at the fastest rate seen in 41 years. Most recently, food prices increased 10% in October, according to Statistics Canada. Incredible. And listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. I have to agree with this, but it's going to be very difficult for most people to keep their jobs. I am telling you right now, I am not saying this because I want it to happen. And most of the things that I talk about that we see coming, being that we're into preparedness, that we want to see what we can prepare for in the future, I don't want to see come to be. I don't. But if you're lucky enough to have a job now, be the number one employee. Do what you can to stay employed, because many people are going to lose their jobs coming into next year. Many, many people. I think that the majority of people, especially those that play the stock market, think that things are getting better. And they are not. When you peel back those layers of the onion and you get down to the core, you can see how rotten that onion really is. We have to prepare now for what's coming. I didn't talk about this before, but I actually, when I went to Costco the last time with my wife, we just want to pick up a few things, but I always like to go up and down the aisles to see what prices are. The price of rice went up again. The price of the rice that I buy, that Calrose rice, if you've been following me for a while, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When I first started buying that rice, when Costco opened here about 2.5 years ago or 3 years ago or so, it was like $25. It is reaching $50. It is now $48 for that same rice. It's the same rice grown in the same place. It has the same amount of calories. It's just almost 100% more. Well, I feel that next year we're going to see a 100% increase in that. I hope that rice doesn't go up to $100 for 50 pounds like I'm thinking it will. I hope it doesn't, because I love to eat rice. I know it's bad for you. It's the devil, I know, but I love rice. It's what I grew up on. And rice is what about half of the world exists on. It's what about half of the world uses as a staple. And I'm seeing rice almost double in just a 3-year period, ladies and gentlemen. Take that into consideration. That's about 30% per year. Are you making 30% a year more? And things are going up even more coming into next year for here in the United States. Let me just go ahead and finish this off. If you can keep your job, I suspect prices are going to be much friendlier in an economic downturn. Well, the prices are not going to be any friendlier. It's just that you're lucky that you have a job. Go back to the Great Depression and see all of those men holding up signs, "We'll work for food, we'll work for anything." They didn't care how much they earned. They just wanted to earn something so that they can feed their families. Because grocers will set prices based on what the market can bear, he said. I know that there are so many things going on. We need to prepare for a world war. We need to prepare for a nuclear war. We need to prepare for bad climate. But ladies and gentlemen, everyone needs to eat. Stock up on food. I know this is the Christmas season, my favorite time of the year by far. I love this time of the year. But ladies and gentlemen, what I'm telling you is that you may not have a Christmas next year just because of the price of food. So prepare now for that. Stock it up. I have been lazy. I have been putting off doing something that I need to do in order to fill in my gaps. I have to get it done. All right, maybe I'll do a short video on that just to show you what I mean. I have some bins that I hold bulk food in. I hold bulk flour, I hold bulk rice, and bulk sugar. And they're getting down a little bit low, less than half. I need to refill those, and I have the product in my pantry to refill them. I just haven't done it. Why? Well, I wouldn't really necessarily say that it's because I'm lazy. It's just because I'm doing this and that. Life gets in the way. But make time to fill in your gaps if you are prepped. If you are not, I'm telling you, you're going to be thanking yourself next year around this time when you see that food prices have pretty much doubled. I feel terrible for our Canadian brothers and sisters. Again, if you live in Canada, please send me an email and let me know if there's any validity to what I just read here. Now, when I saw that price tag of about $16,000 a year is what is expected to be paid for food for a family of 4 in Canada, I started looking around like, well, how much does an average Canadian family makes? How much does an average job pay in Canada? So I went here, understanding the average annual salary in Canada. So let me show you what I found. And I'm not going to read all of this. I'm just going to go ahead and I think I marked it here. Okay, so on average, so this is on average by province and territory. And we all know that there's different jobs. You may have a doctor, you may have a builder, etc., etc. And some may make more than others, but I just took the average, all right? So the average, the highest amount that I found was from British Columbia, and the average pay there, the average salary per year is $66,900. Now, this is back from, I believe, 2020. That's from 2020. However, go ahead and add another 4,000 or 5,000 to that, whatever it may be. Still, 16,000 divided into 66,000 is roughly 24-25%. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how people are going to be able to afford to live, period. I mean just live. This is before they pay taxes on this. And I don't know what the tax rate is in Canada, but from what I understand, it's a little bit higher than what it is here in the United States. $66,900 a year in the highest paying province, average, and you're paying $16,000 a year for food for a family of 4. If you do decide to send me some intel to my email address about this, please let me know. If you can give me an example, like what size is your family? How much do you earn per year before taxes? How much of that do you pay in taxes? And pretty much how much you spend. That would be awesome to find out. That way we can use it as an example to show people exactly how much it is that the standard of living of the average, not only Canadian, but also American, is being depleted because of all of these man-made factors and because of inflation as well, which is man-made. Now let's go ahead and take a look at this real quick. Now, this is a pretty recent article. It's from September 30th of this year, and it says grocery store prices aren't coming down anytime soon. And ladies and gentlemen of the United States of America, I've been talking about this for a while as well. In my opinion, we don't have it as bad as Canada, being that that story that I just read to you all is true. But it's still going to continue to increase. Our average salary here in the United States is a lot less than that of the average Canadian from the numbers that I just read. And here it states that grocery prices climbed 13.5% in August, and we all know that, which is the highest since March of 1979. Executives at large food manufacturers and analysts expect inflation to hover around this level for the rest of 2022, but it's going to get worse in 2023, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Again, even if CPI says that it's down, CPI being the consumer prices indices, even if it goes down, which is pretty much inflation, consumer inflation, even if it goes down just like it did here, I think it's 7.1%, which is still high, but it went down a little bit, I think by 0.2% it went down. Even if it goes down, what good is it going to do you if you're out of a job? And next year we're going to see a lot of people lose their jobs. It is going to be a tsunami of job losses. So prepare now. Because if you have the time now, prepare now. Take advantage of whatever extra jobs you can do now. If you want to do DoorDash, do DoorDash. Uber Eats, do Uber Eats. If you just want to do Uber, whatever it is that you can do now, because even those companies, even those services are going to be cutting back on how many people they allow to do those services, like Uber, DoorDash, whatever other ones there are. Instacart, I think, is another one of them. Get them now, earn that money now, buy that food now, put it away. Buy foods that you know that will last. If you want to know what kind of foods will last a long time, just by leaving them in their own containers, get on my playlist, get on my videos, take a look at them. For example, I'll give you an example or two. Rice, if you leave it in its own packaging, it will last easily, in my opinion, 2 years, as long as it's in a dry place. As long as it is dry, it will last easily 2 years. Sugar will last easily a lot longer than that, in my opinion. Beans, dry beans will last, or dry legumes, peas, lentils, things like that will last a very long time in their original packaging, as long as you have it in a place that is not very humid, that is pretty dry. All right, so get those things that you eat that you can get now at today's prices. Pasta is a great food as well to put away for long term. Get them now, because by this time next year, you will be thanking yourselves. Let me bring this all the way to the bottom so I can share this with you. General Mills, which makes everything from Cheerios to Blue Buffalo pet food, expects that its costs will increase by 14 to 15% in 2023. Now, when people see 14 to 15%, that's not how much it's going to increase for you. I will explain this to you real quick for those of you that are new. I'm sure that those of you that have been here for a while will probably already know where I'm getting to. That 15% at their expense is not really what it's going to cost you, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be much more. The reason being is because we live in an economy that is debt and credit based. So, for example, when General Mills ups their prices by 15%, then they have to pay a trucker to deliver that. That trucker has to take credit to buy its fuel, to pay the mortgage or the note on his truck, etc., etc. Then they're going to bring it to a supermarket. That supermarket uses credit in order to pay that trucker, in order to pay for the food bill that they just delivered. And all of those credit expenses get added on to the original cost of the food when it left the manufacturer. So you're going to end up paying a lot more than 15% more for these items here that they're laying out. And listen to this. The company is planning additional price hikes for its retail customers. So you see, that 14 to 15% was just the wholesale price. The additional price hikes above that will be for the retail customers. Man, I wish, I remember, and I know I'm going off script here for a little bit, but I remember talking about this a long time ago, probably years ago. I told someone, I said, I don't care about how many community members, i.e. subscribers, I have. It's not about the number, it's about the qualities. I think I'm changing my mind on that. I wish I had 1 million community members / subscribers. I wish I had 2 million, because at least more people will get the word. Ladies and gentlemen, share this. This is not something that I ask a lot. I almost never ask you to like a video or anything like that, because I figure that if you want to click the like button, you will. That's fine. But share this with people that you love. Share this with people that maybe aren't completely awake yet. Maybe it takes the face of an old man and the voice of an old man that's ranting on YouTube to convince them to at least do a little bit of research so that they can get prepared. Because you have to understand is that the more people within your community that are prepared, the better it is for you. Think about that. The more people around your community that are fed, the better it is for you, because they're not going to be knocking you over the head for the few dollars that you have in your pocket so that they can go buy a loaf of bread. They're not going to be going into a supermarket in groups and storming it because they're hungry. So share these types of videos and spread the word, because we need to stick together in order to make it through this. And this just came out today. Vegetable prices soar 40% as crops fail under extreme weather. I thought it was climate change, ladies and gentlemen. But in this case, I guess it's extreme weather. I know I'm being sarcastic. It's just a play on how many times they change the names so that people can stay confused about what the reality is. Anyways, I digress. We've been talking about this for a while. These cycles that are happening with weather events, if you notice, they're different everywhere. In the West, we have a drought. We have freezing in parts of the East. If you don't know, orange juice prices have gone up, and they're going to continue to go up because of the freeze that they had in Florida that devastated most of their orange crop. All right. I think you've noticed that coffee has gone up in price. Why? Because of a double whammy in Brazil. Earlier this year, they had a drought and they also had a freeze. And then on top of that, for next year, they're probably not going to have the amount of fertilizer that they need, because coffee is a very fertilizer intensive crop. So they're not going to have the amount of fertilizer that they need in order to get the same yield that they're used to getting. And this year alone, I believe there were about 3 million bags of coffee short worldwide, which is the least that they've been able to produce in a very long time. So these extreme weather events, they're going to continue to happen. Why? Because we're within that cycle. We are in that cycle where weather is going to be erratic. Where in Saudi Arabia, they're going to get 3 years worth of rain in one day. I'm not sure if you read that article. I'm pretty sure it was 3 years worth of rain in one day. In Pakistan, they're going to get floods that decimates 90% of the crops that they still had in the field. In other parts, you're going to get droughts that's going to affect the yield, because what? Plants need water. In other parts, you're going to have freezes. These are all different weather events that are happening everywhere around the world. And not to forget about the volcano that erupted in the south. I think it's Tonga. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I think it's Tonga. That has now dispersed all of that ash, all of that water, all of that sulfur particulates into our atmosphere, and it is now working itself around the southern hemisphere of the globe, which is going to affect the irradiancy of the sun coming through our atmosphere and feeding our plants, or providing our plants with the energy that it needs to grow. If all of these things that I've talked about just off the top of my head, ladies and gentlemen, you can't see as happening right now, then you will be one of those that suffer. You really will. You will be one of those that turns to doing something that you never would have thought of doing in your life in order to feed your children. So what does it hurt to go out there and buy a 50-pound bag of rice if you eat rice, excuse me? What does it hurt to go out there and buy an extra 2 or 3 pounds of pasta every time you go shopping for groceries if you eat pasta? You should be buying those things that you regularly eat. Right? I always promote that you fill up your pantry first and foremost with those things that you generally eat every single day, right? And then once you have a year's supply and you are in the filling in the gap mode, then you can go out there and venture into third-party foods like freeze-dried foods. I hope that you get something out of this, and I hope that this motivates you to act. All right, ladies and gentlemen, act. Stop having hope without preparing. Hope without preparing is just hope, and that's not going to feed your children. Having said that, I hope that you have a great day. I truly do. For those of you that may be trying to get some contingency medical, if you go on their site right now, their checkout is going to be down for today. Maybe it'll be back up later on today or tomorrow. They're doing some background works in their website. So if you've gone over there and you've noticed that you can't check out, that's why. But they'll be back up tomorrow for sure. And I had a great question from someone that lives in Canada. So thank you very much for sending me that question, asking if Contingency Medical will ship antibiotics to Canada from the United States. They will not. However, they've done all the paperwork and they've gone through all of the red tape that they need to go through in order to offer their services to Canadians. However, it's not going to be till about the first quarter of 2023. right? They have to get through all of the red tape. And there will be no mailing of antibiotics over the border. So whenever you apply or whenever you purchase one of the packs, it's going to be filled by a pharmacy that's right there in Canada, and you'll get it from within your own border. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so thank you very much for the question. Again, have a great day, ladies and gentlemen. Remember that hope without preparedness is just hope, so make sure that you continue to prepare. And also, even after telling you all of this stuff, make sure that you enjoy the little things. Make sure that you spend time with family. Make sure that you enjoy this Christmas that we're having if you celebrate Christmas. Because we have to find things that we can celebrate, right? It's the little things in life that matter. But we need to prepare for what's coming. Have a great day. Remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place. And you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to all of you and your families. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.